As Ruby Freeman and ArShaye Moss said in a statement today, the fight to rebuild our reputations and to repair the damage to our lives is not over. But today, we're one step closer, and for that, we are grateful. John Langford is one of the attorneys representing election workers Ruby Freeman and ArShaye Moss. He also serves as a counsel at the nonprofit legal center called Protect Democracy, and he joins me now. John, first, just you and your client's reaction to the ruling from the federal judge today, Beryl Howell, finding in your favor.
Well, thanks for having me, Chris. I can say Ruby and ArShaye are thrilled with this decision, as are our team. Today is an indication of our system working. If you, like me, are worried about the state of our democracy, today is a signal for hope. It's a signal that the people who lied to undermine the results of a presidential election are going to be held accountable. And for that, Ruby and ArShaye in particular are thrilled. They're ready to see Mr. Giuliani and everyone else who lied about them held accountable.
Yeah, I have to say, I feel duty-bound to say this, that, given the line of work I'm in, and the fact I'm a journalist, and my commitment to the First Amendment, I don't take defamation lightly. Like, I don't, it should be a very, very, very high bar. The First Amendment guarantees a free press, and being able to say things about people is part of that free press. This is one of those cases, again, it's sort of similar like the Dominion case, where it's like, these were not public figures until they were talked about in this way. I mean, these were not only were they lied about, but they were lied about, chosen at random. Their lives turned upside down. It's not like lying about a senator.
That's exactly right. And these aren't, misrepresentations, mistakes. These are knowing falsehoods, knowing and reckless falsehoods. Ruby and ArShaye are not senators. They're not presidents. They don't have a Secret Service detail. It's been said that the most important office in a democracy is that of the citizen. And Ruby and ArShaye exemplify that. They volunteered to work during an election in the midst of a global pandemic just to make sure that everyone's vote was counted. Defamation law in no way prevents people like Ruby and ArShaye, heroes like Ruby and ArShaye, from holding those who knowingly and recklessly lie about them accountable.
Explain to me what happened legally today. I mean, the finding, basically, this is a judgment of the judge that basically you've won on the law, that based on the law and the facts, that Rudy Giuliani defamed your clients, and the judge did not hold back. I'll just read one part about how Judge Howell views Giuliani's deflections. Rather than simply play by the rules, Giuliani has bemoaned plaintiffs' efforts to secure his compliance as punishment by process. Donning a cloak of victimization may play well on a public stage to certain audiences, but in a court of law, this performance has served only to subvert the normal process of discovery in a straightforward defamation case. So what happens now?
Well, today's ruling is a complete and total victory for Ruby and ArShaye on what's called liability. Liability is like guilty in the civil system. And so what the court held today is that based on the innumerable violations of the very basic discovery obligations every litigant in a civil case has to comply with, Mr. Giuliani is fully liable to Ruby and ArShaye for defamation, for intentional infliction of emotional distress, and for civil conspiracy with Donald Trump. So what's going to happen now? There will be a narrow trial on the sole remaining issue left in this case, which is exactly how much does Mr. Giuliani owe Ruby and ArShaye for what he did to them knowingly and recklessly.
How are your clients doing? The testimony from both Rudy Freeman and ArShaye Moss, one in deposition and one in live testimony, was so powerful. Even just watching it right now, I got sort of choked up. Just a complete nightmare. What a surreal nightmare to be visited upon you out of nowhere, like suddenly to be taken up in this maelstrom and the impossibility of recovering what was taken from you. Like, how are they doing now?
Yeah, as you'll recall, Ruby said, can you imagine the president of the United States, who's supposed to represent every American, targeting one American with lies like this? The truth, Chris, is that they still have to live with the consequences of these lies every single day. And so they continue to live in a place that is difficult. When there is good news, like today's decision, and when there is bad news, the inevitable result is that a bunch of false, vile harassing messages spew out onto the internet because people still believe these lies for some reason. And so I would say Ruby and Shay are still in a place that no one should ever have to be. But that said, Ruby and Shay are two of the most courageous, most inspirational, most heroic, and they have a level of perseverance that is not normal. When anyone else would have gone away, would have taken actions to protect their family, to try to shy away, to lie down, they stood up. Just like they stood up to see an election through, they stood up for themselves. They stood up in 2021. They stood up in 2022. They stood up in 2023. So when Judge Howell says today's decision was inexorable, what she is referring to is the inexorable will of two of the strongest women you could ever hope to meet.
John Langford, attorney with Protect Democracy, representing Shaye Moss and Ruby Freeman, who did win that judgment today from Judge Beryl Harrell, U.S. District Court judge. It means now we'll proceed to a trial on the issue of remuneration. How much money will be given to the two folks who were defamed here? Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.